So with your cube, go ahead and do a G, Z. Oops, and move it up. Now our 3D cursor is down here, and you can left mouse click anywhere to set your 3D cursor.
I clicked the wrong button. How do you get rid of the? How do you? No, just start a new file.
Okay. Or Control Z, but that's how you get rid of it. In theory. I had so screwed up earlier today as I was doing a Control Z, and I was just like I couldn't undo what I had done. Now if I do a let's see, object, snap, and then choose, this is where you choose your cursor to selected, cursor to center. So if I do cursor to center, that'll be my cursor in the center. And if I do object or object, snap, cursor to selected, it'll put my cursor up in this cube I got selected. They're going to use that in that tutorial. So again, to put it down here in the bottom, you do object, snap, and then cursor to center. You can also click somewhere, put your mouse somewhere, and then you can have it on that go like we're seeing. So, okay, so I'm going to drop a plane on here. So I do the create and choose plane. So if I want to do an A, done, select that plane. G or S for scale, and I'll make it bigger, like the floor. Now, if I right click the cloth here and select it, remember you can come over here and you can choose our physics. And you choose cloth right here, and now you can run that. Goes right through our plane, doesn't it? Now, if I right click the plane and choose rigid body, I'm trying to remember which one I need to choose here. I think the dynamic has to be off, but let's see. Let me run it. Okay. Yeah, the plane just falls, doesn't it? So I'm going to uncheck. Maybe. No, this is passive, I think. Let me choose passive here. And run that. Let's see. So I have to do a different type of collision there. Okay, let me go back to the cube and get rid of the cloth. Yeah. I'm probably looking right at it. There it is. Okay. Let me choose rigid body here. And now choose my play. And it stopped, didn't it? That's what I was trying to demonstrate. Let's see. You can't do multiple ones. So, by the way, the rigid body collisions is where you can set, and they'll have a set of convex. They'll have us choose a different one here. Yeah, let's do a cloth. Let's see. Did it bounce? Now if I go into edit, do a tab, do a W for subdivide, and then do a tab to go back out. That's interesting. I didn't expect to it pass straight through the. Huh. Interesting. So why would subdivide make it pass clear through?
Mine didn't go clear through.
Yours didn't?
No.
It's not supposed to. The yours did, but yours didn't. How strange.
How many faces do you have on the cube?
Uh,
385.
I have 96.
Yeah, 96.
Got 97. How interesting. Anyway, what I really wanted to show is how it stops. Now I'm going to do a file new. Reload startup. What else do you need to know? Oh, this is my cube, right? If I go into edit, do a W for subdivide, you got this where you get split up. Trying to think. Is it Shift D to duplicate?
Yeah. Yeah,
Shift D duplicates. So that's how we make a duplicate of that. Subdivided array. Let's take a look at array now. So do a file new again. Reload startup. There's a modifier. It's a little wrench. There's lots of modifiers. If you choose add modifier, the array is one to use in this tutorial. If I choose array, it built an array of cubes. Specifically, just has 2, doesn't it? If I come here to my count, change that to 5, you get this. Now it looks like it just made it longer, doesn't it? But if I change the offset between them, instead of 1, change it to 1.032. Then if you rotate it, you see that they are actually separate cubes. You were mentioning about how you can have one modifier or one item on top of another item. I got one array here. If I choose another array, so I come up to my modifier, click add modifier, choose array. Then we got our first one here, but then we got our second one here, and I can change this to like 5, like that. But my X offset, instead of 1, I'm going to put a 0 there. And my Y offset, I'm going to put 1.032 there. And I'll do a GY, and then 2, GY negative 2. Oops. Maybe just GY and move my cursor or mouse. Trying to center it. And GX. Now, what do you think happened if I add another modifier of an array and apply it to my Z? It'll go up. Yeah. So if I do add modifier, choose my array, have it 5 again. And I set the X to 0, the Y is 0, the Z I'll say is 1.032. And you see this right here. How many cubes do we have? It's a trick question. If we go into edit mode, and I'm doing A to select everything, look at the only thing it's selecting, the one cube. So this is still just based upon one cube. Probably, I haven't really tried it, but if you do a G for grab, see how it changes every one of them? Because they're connected together. G for grab here, you can get some interesting shapes. Understanding what the array is allows you to build something with 1,000 different elements with just one object. Now, if I expand this first one, you see there's an apply. So if I click apply, get out of edit mode first. And now I just click apply. Expand this one, apply, expand this one, and apply. Now if I go into edit mode, and you do an A for select, what do you see? Yeah, it selects all of them. So it's no longer one cube anymore, is it? Anyway, they use the array in tutorial. What else do they talk about? Oh, so I got this right here. And there's a mode here. See the two little balls down here? Maybe that could be an object mode. Where's that at? There it is, Y for wireframe. The one ball, and you choose wireframe. You see how you can see through them as if they're like a whatever a wireframe is. So now if you're doing a select, like if I did a B for border select, and I click and hold down, it not only selects what was up front, but it selects everything behind too. Now you cannot do that if it's not in the wireframe mode. So for example, if I had it back to my solid mode here, and if I did a B for border select, and I clicked and hold down my left mouse button, yeah, it did get some of them, didn't it? But anyway, if you got ones kind of behind it, the wireframe allows you to select everything behind. So as we're looking at the tutorial, if that's a big part of it. Does not work if you don't do the wireframe. Now that's Z. If you do Z, that goes back and forth between solid and wireframe. And that's what he'll refer to in the tutorial. Okay. So go ahead and start a new Blender file. I'm going to go ahead and play this.
Greeting. You know, you should take this online Blender course on Udemy. It's taught by an expert.
Meet Blenders, the revolutionary new standing desk from iMover, featuring the latest in high tech.
In this video, I'm going to show you how you can have some fun with the rigid body simulator in Blender by creating a wrecking ball simulation. So, open up a new scene in Blender, like this one, and delete everything.
Now, how we delete everything is you're in object mode. You do an A. Yeah. Can't find my A. There it is. Helps if you actually choose Blender. So yeah, you choose everything. It chooses the sun. It chooses your camera. You do an X for delete. Now, as we're going through this, if you have any trouble, then let me know. Because once we get like 4 or 5 steps past, it won't. At that point, it's too late.
We're now going to replace that with a torus. Now, this torus is going to become.
So we're going to add a torus on there. So I can go up to create right up here and choose Taurus. Of course, where's my cursor at? Wrong place. Yeah, let me delete that. And remember, that's object, snap, and cursor to the center. Okay. Now I choose add Taurus. Got that there. Now notice that they're pushing these buttons, numpad 3, numpad 5. What that does is it changes your views. So they're only looking at it in terms of your X and Y view or so forth. So if you press your, my num lock has to be on. My num lock's on. If you press, if you come over here to Blender, you press 3 and then you press 5. Do you even see the Z axis at all? No. And that's what they're indicating to you, is that's how you can control it. So that when you start doing grabs and so forth, you don't, you go the wrong direction.
The first link in our
Now they're telling us to do an R for rotate. So you do an R for rotate. And you can rotate it up and down like that. This is building a chain link.
chain. So we're just going to
And he goes pretty fast through some of this. You see it says numpad 1. Click over here, numpad 1 takes us back there. And then A twice. I suppose just to make sure it's selected. I don't know why he does that. Z for wireframe. And see how now we can kind of see through it. And B is for border select. He's just going to have us select part of it, and then we'll pull it up. When I didn't do the wireframe before and I did the border select, it grabbed just the vertices on this side and pulled it up. So it's like, oh, that's no good. Okay.
edit mode, grab the top half and move it up.
So I actually don't want mine selected. So I'm going to do an A to unselect. I'll do a B for border select. And now you can drag and grab. I don't know if I want that or not. Oops.
Yeah, select the whole thing for me too.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I'm in object mode.
Oh, is he in edit mode?
Yeah. You have to be in edit mode. I missed that. Tab. Yeah, see, he's got a tab right here.
Yep.
Okay, so now do a B. As I say, it worked earlier because I was just double checking everything. And when you do that, then you select this. Not only that, but if I turned it around, I select the vertices back behind also. Now we want to, they tell us to do a
You can see now look
G. They want to do a G for grab. And move it along the Z axis. I do GZ. So GZ. And I can pull it up however far you think for a chain link. And then if you do a tab and you do Z to go back out of the wireframe, you see your chain link. Good so far?
Mm-hmm.
looks like a link in a chain. And if we duplicate that,
So now you can do a Shift D to duplicate that. And if I do GZ, come over here, Shift D, GZ. Let's try it again. Got that selected. Now do a Shift D to duplicate. And GZ, move it up like that. I hadn't actually selected my link when I did the Shift D. Then you see you moved it up like that.
that up to there, rotate it by 90.
See, then they press 7. Ah. Try that again. You don't want to press 7 while you're over in YouTube.
Mode, grab the top half and move it up. You can see it now looks like a link in a chain. And then if we duplicate that, move it up to there, rotate.
Okay, so now I'll click over here and I'll do 7. 7 again. Control Z. There it is. 7. And R for rotate. I think I did too much. Okay, let me try mine again. Got that. I do Shift D. Duplicate it. I do G, Z, move it up. Like that. I press 7 on the number key. Then do an R for rotate. Then you see we're building our link. Everybody get their link to rotate?
Yeah.
I was pressing 7 up on up above the buttons instead of the number pad. The number pad is very important on this tutorial. I should have mentioned that. Now the views it's doing is these right here. You see the view? Left, right, back, front. Now 7 is the top. So we're viewing it from the top. Okay.
Rotate it by 90 degrees. You can see we have 2 links. And then if we just duplicate that once more, and then you see we have 2 links. And then if we just duplicate that once more.
See, this is where I got a little bit lost in the tutorial because he didn't say select the other one. So when I did a duplicate, what will it duplicate? Just this one. So I think he left that out, and it was kind of a pain earlier because I'm sitting there creating them manually, because this ain't working and so forth. Okay, so now if I hold down my Shift key and I select both of them, now if I do my Shift D and do a GZ, then you can move it up. And he says to repeat this how many times?
And then hit Shift R. It's now just going to repeat our last action.
Yeah, Shift R didn't work for me.
Oh, it didn't.
Does it work for you? Makes it go up.
Shift R. And then Shift R again. So your Shift R didn't work for you.
No.
Probably do a Shift D and then GZ, move it up manually.
Do that 4 times now.
How many times did I do it? 3? I don't remember. The Shift R is, I guess, to repeat the same action. This guy's got some of the, even though this one's kind of got a few places, he's got some of the best tutorials, I think, because they're easy to follow. Some of the other ones is they don't really put those up on the side; they just do it. You're saying, "Well, wait a minute, how do you get that view to change?" And it's like, tell me when you got them all duplicated.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay.
Until we have a chain that is as long as we want, which is about that. Okay, so now we can get into the physics. So go ahead and click on any link, doesn't matter which. And
Okay, so we'll click on the bottom one here. So you have that selected. And the physics is this far right one. This little blue with the bouncing ball is what it is, but it's a little blue with a white ball.
go to the physics panel, and you can see we've got an option here that says rigid body. So go ahead and check that.
So we want to choose rigid body. And that's just applying to this first link here.
And now we've got a whole bunch of options. Now, if you've never used rigid body simulation before, it's probably a little bit confusing. Don't worry. The only thing that we're actually going to change here is the shape of the collision. So by default, it's set to convex hull, which sort of sets like a semi-accurate sort of box around our objects. Now, because we're working with intersecting meshes, we need to set this shape to mesh, which is the
So I want to choose mesh. Does that make sense on what he's talking about, the mesh? So your collisions will be just based exactly how the mesh is designed, not based upon like bounding boxes.
the slowest of the simulation, like baking types, but we need to use it because we've got intersecting meshes, alright? So we need to do that for all these lengths, okay?
Now we got this first one selected here, and he's not really saying it. This is, I guess, one of the times when I hold down my shift key and I use my mouse wheel to move it down a little bit so we can see it a little bit better. But he's doing a border select. He's doing B for border select. And it says he did B twice. B twice doesn't do anything for me. But if you do B once, you can select these other ones. And now you see in green is the one you got originally is the official selected ones, but you've got those other ones highlighted. Everybody get their green and red, assuming you're not red-green colorblind.
But if we were to do that one by one, it would be ridiculous, okay? But thankfully, in the toolbar, you've got something that's called...
Over here, you got a physics, and we're going to do the copy from active. Now what this is going to do is it's going to take that rigid body settings that we did and apply it to all the rest we got selected.
Rigid body tools, and there's an option that says copy from active. So if we click that.
So if I come back here, click copy from active, that has now applied all those physics, whatever we might have selected in physics, to everything else.
All of these now have those same settings. Awesome. So if you hit Alt A right now, you'll see they all fall.
So if I do an Alt A, or I just run my animation, though I can't see my controls down there. There they are. If I choose my my animation here, you see they all just fall down. Remember how I showed you, though, that you can have that cube I showed you earlier just stop? That's what we're going to look at now.
Now let's see how it looks if it collides with a ground.
Now, he didn't really say it, but he did a G, and he moved it up. So if I did a GZ at this point, GZ, you can move it up. Now you want to set your cursor back down to the bottom here, because otherwise it'll add it wherever your cursor's at. Even more than that, I want to unselect those. And you go to Object, go to Snap, and you go to Cursor to the center. And your cursor should be down there to 0, 0, 0 in terms of X, Y, Z. Now we want to add on a plane, so create plane. I'll do an S for scale, make it bigger.
And surface, all right? So just add in a plane. We need to make sure it's part of the rigid body simulation.
We got the plane selected now, so now we want to click the rigid body over here.
And the type, instead of setting it to active, I'm going to change it to passive, which is basically something that doesn't move, like a solid wall or ground.
So it changes to passive. Now if I I'll do Control A. Oops, maybe not. Was it Control A? Shift A? Alt A. Alt A, no memory. Then you see it colliding. But notice the collisions is based upon the shape of the mesh. So it's colliding in a positive manner.
And look at that. Our chain is working perfectly. Absolutely brilliant. Alright, now at this point, if your chain is not working well, if it's sort of like exploding or anything like that, that's because you are using a chain that is too small. Blender does not work well if these are like tiny little objects like this. If I try to animate this, you can see the Blender sort of freezes up and the links come apart, and you can see it doesn't work well at all. So it needs to be fairly big in order for it to work. It's unfortunately not accurate to the real world. Like if this was set to the metric units, you can see that one chain link is almost 4 meters high. Ridiculous. Anyway, that's just one of the things, okay? So, it's working well as a chain, which is great. So, we want this top link here to be stationary, like to be anchored, so that our wrecking ball can swing. So, if we go to the rigid body settings right here, you'd think that you might set this type to be passive, like we did for our floor.
I don't think he said it, but you have your top ring selected.
But what you'll find is that the link disconnects.
And he's talking about then changing that to passive. But if you do the Alt A like you indicated, it disconnects and that one's sitting up there.
And that's because really passive is only used for things which are like an object is going to collide with it or it's not going to move. It's essentially not really part of the simulation. But if you instead leave it as active but uncheck dynamic.
So we're going to put it as active and uncheck dynamic. And I guess this is the one I'm thinking of, the one where it doesn't move. Still rigid body.
It means it still has like its active rigid body mesh collisions, but it remains the same. Like it's not actually moving at all. So that way we get a stationary link and everything else is behaving like a normal chain.
So if you, at this point, you do your Alt A. Well, I guess I gotta click it first. Alt A. If you look really closely, it's moving, isn't it? Yeah. So there's an animation there. I keep setting it back to 0 because I want it to be in the stationary position. If you're, especially later on, things are moving around so much. If you grab your timeline further on, it won't look anything like the tutorial. So the assumption is that you're kind of your starting place. Still good? Okay.
Which is kind of cool. There you go. You can kind of play with it whilst it's happening.
He was just playing. He took one of the rings out.
Anyways, all right. So now the chain is working well. Now we can go ahead and add in our wrecking ball. So down here, I'm going to go ahead.
Now, even if he didn't say it, what mode are you in? Edit. Oops. So you have that selected, that one down there, and then you go into tab. Now we want to add a sphere for our wrecking ball. So we'll click the sphere. Where was that? Probably looking at the UV sphere. I'm going to do a GZ to move it up. S, make it bigger. Rotate a little bit because I'm not even close. Then GX. Nope. GY. GY. Move it over that way. I'll get there eventually. G red. GX. S for scale. GZ to move it up. It's probably not too bad there.
And add in a sphere. Okay, and you can make this as big as you like. Something.
By the way, if I had clicked that and set my cursor to be based upon that object, I wouldn't have to do all that moving. I just did.
Like that is pretty good. Nice.
See, now if you come over here and I do my tab, you can see it looks like that.
Big old wrecking ball. Alright. Okay, and I want to, of course, move this up.
Now, I like to move it over here, and then do a B for border select. Select all these, and then do a GZ to move it up, like that. Get that out of the way, or maybe not that far. GZ back down, right there.
And also at this stage, you want to reset the origin point. Okay, so reset this.
It says Control. I know you can't read that, but it says Control Alt Shift C, because we got these all selected now. So I do my Control, hold on my Alt, hold on my Shift, and then C. And I should have watched it while I was doing it. Control, Alt, Shift, and then C. Helps if I actually choose it. Let me try it again. Control, Alt, Shift, C. And then you see the different choices here for setting your origin.
And now the origin point for all of these links has it now dead set. You want to reset the origin point. Okay, so reset
Origin to geometry.
And now the origin point for all of these links has it now dead set in the center.
So Control, Alt, Shift, C, and origin. What was it? Origin geometry.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And the reason that's important is that the rigid body simulator uses the origin point as the center of gravity for that object. So it's very important that that is in the center of whatever object, otherwise you can get some weird results. Anyway.
Does that make sense on the gravity part?
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't to me, but I never took a lot of physics. So now if we do Alt A, of course I'm so close down there, it's colliding with that. But
Is your ball attached to the chain?
yes. Is yours not attached?
You might need to like Control Z and then select all the chains and the wrecking ball, and then do the Control Shift Alt C, and then do origin to geometry. I think that might work.
Do I have to deselect the ball first?
Yeah, probably. So yeah, just A and then select it all using the B thing, and then if the wrecking ball and all the chains are green, then I think you can do you should be able to do the Shift Control Alt C thing to do origin to geometry.
If that doesn't attach it, let me know.
No, it's still
Okay, so on yours, right click your sphere. Now nothing else is selected, right? Okay, then press your X for delete to delete that. Now I didn't delete anything else, did it? Okay, now right click that bottom link. Go into edit. And now choose your create UV sphere. and then do a G for grab to move it up so that it's merged with that. I think when you did your ad, you didn't have that link selected.
It's merged now, though.
Is it merged now? Okay.
Do I do like, I have it moved up, do I do a tab and scale it?
Yeah, if you're, you should still be able to do that. Are you still in edit?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you do S for scale, you'll be able to move it. Is that working?
Yeah, now it's selected my chain and my ball, so.
So it selected both of them?
Yeah, it worked now.
Oh, it worked? Okay. Now, I could do a border select on this. Do a B for border select and select those and do a GZ and move it up. Mine was so far down it was colliding with that anyway. But now if I did Alt-A, you barely see it moving, but you can see the ball is attached. I'm not sure why that fell to the plane the first time through. I've noticed on the animation that I have to let it go through one cycle sometimes for it to actually be reflected. Okay, so
We've got the wrecking ball hanging. Let's see how it looks when it swings. So in order to get it to swing, what I'm going to do.
now, I wasn't watching real carefully.
That is in the center of whatever object. Otherwise, you can get some weird results. Anyways, we've got the wrecking ball hanging. Let's see how it looks when it swings. So in order to get it to swing, what I'm going to do is position the cursor at the top.
Okay, so he's still in object mode. That's what I was checking to see if he went to edit mode. He did an A twice. But the important part is he did a Z. And then he right-clicked this up at top. So remember, the Z is the wireframe mode.
Pop of our chain there. Turn on 3D cursor.
The 3D cursor is, you see the two little white balls down there? 3D cursor is right there.
Pivoting. And now, if I just pull.
And what he did is he did a border select. So he did a B. Get back here, B. And selected those. And then he did an R. That isn't what I was supposed to do. What you want to do is you want to set your cursor up here. So we do an object, snap, cursor to selected. And now if I do a B and select all that. Now if I did an R for rotate, it'll rotate it based upon where your selection is. Did we get that? Okay. He might have said that. I just I didn't catch it if he did. Everybody good there? Except for okay, yeah, it's back there. So now it probably says to demonstrate it.
Pull that back to about there, and animate. We have a swinging.
Okay, so I'm gonna take it out of the wireframe. So you do Z Z to take it out of wireframe. And then if you do your Alt A, showing the ball. Think how long that'd take you to do that with that technique we looked at earlier. Take you forever, wouldn't it? Okay.
Wrecking ball. Yay! Everything is going fine. Alright, now, let's see if we can increase the mass of this wrecking ball. And the mass is in kilograms. So if you actually turn on metric unit,
When I did it, I didn't turn on metric unit. I was trying to think. I didn't catch where he's even saying that at.
3 cursor pivoting. And now, if I just pull that back to about there and animate, we have a swinging wrecking ball. Yay! Everything is going fine. Alright, now, let's see if we can increase the mass of this wrecking ball. And the mass is in kilograms.
Okay, there you clicked it. So you click this option here. Okay, where was the metric at?
So if you
Oh. What is he doing? He does it so fast. Not that matters. He's just trying to do it.
turn on
Do you see that option? I'm in units.
What are you looking for?
Metric.
Did you click on the cube? Oh, go down where it says none under the centimeters. Yeah, metric right there.
Oh, okay. Metric. Okay, so it doesn't match the. Must be a different version of Blender. Okay. Yeah, because if those buttons aren't there. Okay, so then.
metric units, you can see that the mass is.
So now if we go back to to the physics, it says 1 kilogram.
1 kilogram. Okay, I'm going to set this to 30. Okay.
So 30.
Okay, I think wrecking balls in real life are a little heavier than 30, but in this case, let's just see it. Oh no, look at that.
So now if we animate that. Mine didn't break. Did yours? He'll tell you how to fix it here in the next part. Part of it has to do with how big you made your original links. As weird as it seems, your geometry associated with that, it uses that in the physics.
The chain has split, okay? And that's because essentially these links are too weak for this heavy object. So how do we fix that? Well, we essentially need to increase the mass of these links here. Now, the mass is going to affect the force of it once it hits something. But it's also going to affect the strength. So if we increase this to say 4 kilograms, and then to make sure it applies to it.
Okay, so he what he's talking about is you got one of them selected, one of these here, and you change that to Oh, I see. I did my first link as 30 kilograms, not my ball. That's why mine didn't break. Okay, let me change it to 30 there, and change my first link to 1. Okay, now I bet it'll break. Maybe that's why mine didn't break earlier. There it goes. Perfect. Okay, so you got this one selected here, and what do you say change it to? 4? So I change that to 4. And remember, this is your currently selected one, right? And if you do your B for border select, and you select the other links, you might not want to grab the very last one because that's still at 30, isn't it? But let me do that again then. Okay, right click the first link here. Then I'll do a B for border select. Got those, and I'll go over here to my physics, and I'll copy from active. Now, if I right click on any one of these, they should all say 4, except for my last one, which is still 30. So let me do an Alt A. Oh, that first one is what? Yeah, that's one where I set it so it wouldn't move. So let me do a Control Z to undo that. And now let me do Alt A, double check. Okay, that didn't. Control Z again. Well, how many times do I have to do Control Z? There it goes. Breaks. So let me put it back here. So that first one's a bad one to choose. So I'll choose this one here right here. Change it to 4. And then I'm going to do my body select. B for body select, or border select, sorry. Now I'm not going to choose that last one because I don't want to screw it up. And then I'm going to do the copy from active. And they're 4 now. The first one is still 4. Okay, so Alt A. There it goes. Mine doesn't break anymore. Everybody good to that point? Probably been just as easy if I just did a right-click on each one and changed them to 4, but that's how you can copy it. You just have to make sure you don't copy the one that's your set in stone.
Everything, select copy from active. You'll see that now the chain should not break. So that's something to keep a note of, is that the mass will not only affect how heavy it is, but also how strong it is. So something to keep in mind. Okay, cool. So it's swinging, everything is fine. Now we can smash whatever it is we want. So I'm just going to check that the wrecking ball is not touching the ground, but pretty close. So I'm going to plug.
I'm not sure if I agree with that that principle there. How you don't want it touching the ground. I threw it way up to begin with just so it wouldn't be in the way. But what he's saying is that you look at it, you can click along this timeline, assuming I've done one complete. Let me do an Alt A just to make sure I do one complete. Now, once it does one complete cycle through your animation, then you can come down here and you can click in your animation and see it at different places. So you can see the lowest point. And my lowest points may be, even if you click it and grab it, it's right there. So if I do a B for borders, or A to unselect everything, do a B for border select, and I select just that, make sure you don't grab your plane. And if I do a G for grab, you can move it down like right there. You don't want it to, I didn't do a GZ, but probably close enough. You don't want it to be hitting the plane because then it won't actually hit the cubes and act right. Now, once you got it moved, if you click back here to your animation, your start of your animation, it puts it back out of the way anyway. For some reason, my plane looks really small. I'm going to do an S for scale. Oops. Except for I have to select my object. Let's see. Cursor to the center. You got to do it as close as possible? Okay.
Place some boxes right here. Alright, this is the fun part. You can create whatever you want, whatever you hate, you can put right here. But cubes look kind of cool when they're just sort of smashed around.
So we got you set your cursor back to your center. Again, you do object, snap, and cursor to center. And now we'll add a cube. So you want to make sure you don't have anything else selected. And choose your create and choose cube. Then do GZ to move it up. Well, my cube's really small compared to my wrecking ball. I'm going to change the scale of it. There we go. Just because I'm having a hard time seeing it. And GZ, move it back down. There's a snap tool, by the way, which we haven't looked at. So that when you get real close to something, they like snap in. So instead of sitting there trying to eyeball it and so forth, but this doesn't have to be perfect. Now we're going to create an array of these. So that's the idea.
I'm just going to add in a cube, and I want there to be a whole bunch of them. So I'm going to use an array modifier, okay? And it's important that you always just leave a little gap in between every object in a rigid body simulation. Otherwise, you'll find that they just like explode because they're like right next to each other. It's a little crazy. So there needs to be a little.
I actually like that idea of them exploding. I wanted to see what that would do. But so you got your cube selected. You come over to your modifier, which is the wrench. You click Add Modifier. You click Array. And you can put however many you want. So you count. I'll put 8 maybe, 10. I don't know. Might be enough. And then the offset, I do 1 point, I think he said 032 or 32 or 36 or something like that. Okay.
Yeah. And I'm going to add in another array from the opposite direction.
So this time I'm going to do it into the Y direction. Now your first modifier is still here, so you can collapse it by using a little the white triangle next to it. And now if I click, see the add modifier again and choose array. Seems like it goes out further here, but if I change that to 7. But the offset, instead of 1 here, I'll put 0 for the X. And I'll come down to the Y. And I'll put 1.03236. And then you should see it going along the Y-axis. In case you're wondering, the distance of 1 is the size of a cube. And then that 0.032 is a little gap in between them. Now we'll drop another add modifier and choose an array. Count, am I changing the right one? Okay, not that one. So collapse that. And then you want to make sure you change the new one you just added. So I'll put 7 there. I'll get rid of this 0 here, put a 0 there, and for the Z, I'm going to put in 1.032. Everybody got that? Now keep in mind, this is still just one cube, isn't it? And he'll mention that.
Or the Y direction, I should say. pretty good. And then one more for the boxes vertically, like that. Increase that, and there we go. Okay, so we've got a whole bunch of boxes. Awesome. We can probably scale them down if you want.
And okay, then I'm going to do a GY to move it along the y-axis. I'll try to put it in exact center as much as I can. And GX, that's probably about center right there.
All right, that's pretty good. Now, of course, we need to apply these arrays because currently there's actually only one little tiny cube at the bottom there. So apply all of the arrays in the order that you created them.
What that means is if you expand all these, you want to apply this first one. So the one at the very top, then the next one, and then the next one.
And now each of these are its own mesh. But we need them to be its own separate object, not just one as it currently is. So if you're in edit mode,
so these are all just one, right? So you move it and so forth. We don't want that. We want them to be individual cubes. But we didn't want to, remember how I had you do the duplicate before to create rows of it, like a pyramid? And they were separate then. This talks about how you can separate them. Now you can't always separate them, but it depends on how everything was merged together. We go into edit. And I think it's P, but let me see.
select everything and then hit P, and then you can select separate by loose parts.
Okay, so I'm back here, I do a P, and I want to separate it by loose parts. Now if you go back to object mode, you can right click on the cubes and you see they're all individual cubes. I think I know what I had trouble with earlier. The plane was causing me headaches. Because whenever I was trying to select the cubes, my eyes weren't good enough not to grab the plane. So the plane kept putting a rigid body on the plane. The plane kept falling and so forth. So I'm gonna right click the plane and I'm gonna do a GZ and move it out of the way so I don't have to worry about it.
Now each one of those cubes is its own separate object. Cool. Now we want to make sure that this is of course added to our rigid body simulator. So simulation.
So what he did is did an A to unselect everything. It did a Z for wire cube. He actually did more. He looked at it from the side. You don't have to look at it from the side if you got these out of the way. And if you do a B for border select and then select those, then you can select all of them like that.
Rigid body.
So we want to choose rigid body. So I come over here, do the bouncing ball, choose rigid body. That's curious. Looked like I had a rigid body. That's got me a little bit worried. Did you have rigid body when you went there? Did you? Why did we have rigid body on the original cube?
And let's leave it convex hull, and we're going to set the mass of this to be, let's go 0.1. So that's about.
So 0.1. Let's try that again.
No, it's in grams, so it's all grams.
Oh, okay. So I don't have the same unit measures. What does he have? Oh, 100? Okay.
100 grams. Yeah, he's exactly 100 grams. Okay, and then hit copy from active so they all have the same settings.
Okay, so come over here and Copy from active.
And now if you were to animate this, you'll see it.
Okay, so we'll go back to object. Get it out as the wireframe, so you do a Z. I'm going to right click my plane now and do a GZ to move it back up. Now if we do an Alt A, my plane fell, didn't it? That's what I had trouble with before. What's the plane set to? Wasn't passive where it doesn't move? Let me try that. Yeah. I don't know what I did, but I set it back to passive. And you just see it, your cube's just going down like that.
The way my cubes interact with each other.
Oh, really? Somehow I screwed up my chain, too. What in the world happened to my chain? Well, that's not good. Okay, I'm gonna select, do my, is your chain okay? I'm gonna do an object, snap, or snap, yeah, snap, and cursor to selected. And then, I wonder if I can do a shift on these. Yeah, I can. Okay, so now I'm going to put my zero back at 0, my timeline, and do an R for rotate, and put it back up here. I don't know why that fell down. Okay. Now I'm going to do an Alt A. Okay, my chain's correct now.
Did that happen? So no, what's happened? Alright, the reason for that is that the origin point for every single cube is right down there in the corner. Which is
Remember, based upon your center of gravity? So instead of the center of gravity being in the middle of each of the cubes, the center of gravity is down in that far corner. And I guess that's the way gravity behaves. Now I'm not going to be able to select my cubes and do this without selecting that plane. But I don't think it matters on this one. Let me see.
what I was talking about with the center of gravity. So you need to make sure everything is selected and hit Control, Shift, Alt, C, and then
Control, Alt, Shift, C. Okay, so come over here and he said everything, didn't he? So I'm going to do an A to select everything. Control, Alt, Shift, C. And origin to geometry.
origin to geometry. And now that all the origin points are in the place that they should be. So now, when you animate it,
Okay, so mine still collapsed.
Mine collapsed after I hit the wrecking ball through.
I don't know what I screwed up. Everybody's got theirs working except for me? Okay.
you have
What do I have these set as? Oh, mass 100. No wonder. How in the world did I set mass to 100 all these? Wait a minute, that was what it's you guys said, right?
300 grams,
Hmm.
at least.
Um. I guess I gotta select one of them. So you guys is 100, right? GZ. I have no clue what I messed up. But I'm glad it's worked for you guys. Do you have dynamic?
Yep.
You got active on your cubes?
Yep.
What's mass you got on it?
100 grams.
That's what I had.
You're at 1 gram.
Yeah, I changed it. I was thinking maybe that would affect it, but it didn't do anything. Convex hull?
Mm-hmm.
That's really the only thing you had is change.
Yeah, but on the object. Maybe it's because you're.
It has to be on mesh.
The what?
Your cube
Uh-huh.
is supposed to be on mesh. Yeah, something turned into mesh.
Yeah, that's for the leads. So we do.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Is cube on mesh too? I don't know.
Yeah, each one of these is a separate mesh.
A wrecking ball going through some cubes. So one final thing to note is that everything is moving very slowly. Like if you look at the way these boxes are falling, it's really not behaving like gravity. It's like everything is going really, really slowly. And the reason for that is everything is huge. Like the size of this wrecking ball, let's see how big it is. It's like 10 meters high. Okay, was that like a 4-story building or something? So it's ridiculously huge. So the simulation is actually playing at the right speed, but it looks strange at this scale. So of course you could fix that by scaling everything down, but then you obviously have problems with the simulation. So a way around that I found, if you go down to the rigid body world settings here, you can increase this speed. So I find if you just increase that.
So
erase apply.
yes. Yeah, because if I right click each one, they're separate.
Yeah.
I don't know. Let's see. 3 balls there, and he's talking about speed down here. So you set that to 2. Does go faster, doesn't it? Only thing I could think of is because my maybe my plane isn't. See how my plane is up above my cube, which means it's going to fall instead of. Maybe that's it.
Can you put your plane right up against the cube?
Um,
Mine was able to. GZ, that was just like.
let's see. 3, 1, 7. 3, 1. I think that's it right there, isn't it?
What?
The view I need to be in.
Yeah. Should be okay. Yeah, your plane's not like on your cube.
Okay, so I got that selected. do GZ. There, let's try that.
Yeah.
Okay, that was what was wrong. See if I can remember how to snap it. I think it's this little magnetic thing right here. Snap during transform. I think you can use that somehow to, if I did a GZ, move it down. Now start moving it close. GZ. Maybe I'm lying to you. Or maybe because there's so many there, it doesn't know how to snap them. Anyway, we're out of time. But that's the Wrecking Ball. And I put that tutorial out there under Blackboard. So if you, I think it's kind of cool. He's got some cool stuff. We'll probably look at some of his other ones also. Is there any questions on anything?
Smith saw one where he had made a humanoid.
The what?
I think Smith saw one where he made a humanoid.
Oh, did he? Yeah, he's pretty good at this and pretty thorough. Usually with the buttons to the side. Because sometimes I don't know. I watch some of those tutorials. It's like, what are they pushing? I'm not.
I liked that one. How you put the way all the keys he's pushing onto the side of the screen.
Yeah, because even when he didn't say it, you could go over there and see those, and it's like, I'm going to stop recording.